This is Dan Ferrisi, editor with Sound and Communications Magazine. Happy to be joined this morning by Joé Lloyd, Senior Director of Communications with AVIXA. Thank you so much for joining me, Joey.
Thanks, Dan, for having me.
So the topic we want to talk about this morning is something that's very salient at this moment, really at all moments from my point of view: diversity, inclusion in the commercial AV industry, making sure that our industry looks like the broader world, the broader country. It's something that AVIXA has really been leaning into over the last several years, I would say, but especially in the last few months. You've been forward facing, talking about it quite a bit. Can you talk a bit about AVIXA's philosophical underpinnings with regard to diversity and inclusion and representation, and why it's something the organization really believes in and is leaning into?
I think it's something that we truly believe in because it creates a better experience. There is nothing more invigorating than the diversity of thought, the diversity of presentation, the diversity of people. And when we think about what's happening in our world, AVIXA as an organization has the opportunity to help influence that and help influence our industry. And through the work of the foundation, the Diversity Council over several years, as well as really leaning into what we've seen this year and what we've all heard about in the news and started to take in, we have an opportunity to truly impact change. And that's our commitment to the industry, is to, in essence, be the virtual diversity officer for those that may not have one. You know, we range in size of membership of companies, and not every company can afford to hire a diversity officer, and AVIXA feels like we have an opportunity to help support those efforts and help to make our industry a better one for women, for people of color, for all of those that maybe have lesser heard voices.
I think that's really laudable work, and I think it's essential work. Let's put some more meat on the bones, talking specifically about the announcement AVIXA put out roughly a week ago, its efforts to have a very diverse speaker lineup for InfoComm 2021 in Orlando, as well as for all your various events, whether they're virtual or in person next year and continuing on. What efforts are you taking concretely to make sure that the panelists, the presenters, the speakers reflect the diversity of America, the diversity of our culture and our world?
I think it moves well beyond America. We think of InfoComm certainly as an American show, and it is a North American show, but this is about all of the stages that AVIXA makes available across the world, and thinking about diversity across all of those. The first thing that we've done is we've initiated a series of questions within that call for presenters that asks not only gender, but also about race. And it gives us a twofold opportunity. Number one, it gives us the look into and getting that information so that we can not only choose someone based on their subject matter expertise, but on their diversity as well. And because there's really not a choice there, right? It's not being an expert or being diverse. Mm-hmm. You can be both. And in addition to that, by asking those questions, we can now measure our commitment. It is one thing to say, we're committed to this and we want to do this, and we do, but we also have to be able to measure against it. And the information that we've had in the past hasn't had that information. So this is our first step forward to not only being able to tell our community, here's what our stages look like, but it also lends itself to the research and market data that we will be providing in the following year for what does our industry look like in comparison to the rest of the world, to America as a diverse culture and set of people.
So I know AVIXA has a lot of really interesting initiatives, concepts, programs in the pipeline. You may not be able to tell me everything or the exact timing right now, but can you give us a little bit of a preview about what we might want to look forward to, especially as it relates to diversity and representation and inclusion related subjects?
Absolutely, Dan. So we alluded to the reason that we're asking for the gender and race as we go through the application process is to really put emphasis on the commitment and be able to track that. So in the first quarter of 21, We are looking forward to releasing that market analysis of the diversity of the industry, sharing not only what AVIXA is doing as an organization, but what does the industry look like as well. And it is truly our commitment to be better than the stats of the industry. And that's that time that we get to put the exclamation point on the commitment. In addition to that, we, as part of our content features, will be sharing more information and profiles and stories about those less heard from in the industry, all the way across from students and those moving through their certification process, all the way through our senior executives. And we will be looking to really show representation of diversity, of women, of Indigenous, of Black people, of all people of color. We will continue to look to support and partner with outside organizations, as well as truly share that roadmap and information that our members and our member companies can use as part of their own diversity efforts.
So I think one thing that we've already talked about a little bit is amplifying lesser heard voices. Can you tell me a little bit about the pass the mic concept and how that's going to help amplify lesser heard voices in the commercial AV industry?
Absolutely. This is not a it is a commitment we make alone, but it is not an effort we can make alone. And we need the help of the entirety of the industry. We all go to InfoComm and we enjoy some of the speakers that we know and love, and we look forward to hearing every year. But without the commitment of the speakers and the community and those who have spoken in the past to help raise the awareness of the lesser heard, we can't do it alone. And so the pass the mic, the nominate the colleague, that is all about bringing our speakers who are well known and asking them to say, come and join me, come get that lesser voice heard. I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of what I've seen across social media. Some of our most regarded speakers have already come out and said, absolutely, I am passing the mic. And it's just wonderful to see. It's heartwarming in a time that I think a little feel good is a good thing.
Absolutely, and it very well certainly speaks to the quality of the people in our industry, that they're socially conscious, that they're social minded, they want to amplify lesser heard voices. It's really a community, and I don't think every industry can say that, and I think it bespeaks the community mindedness of our industry. So the AVIXA Foundation obviously has been doing fantastic work for years across a number of different areas to benefit the commercial AV industry, benefit peoples in general. I think one thing I really want to focus on here is the partnerships it has struck with anti-racist organizations, social inequality-focused organizations, organizations focused on the betterment of humanity, diversifying our society. Tell me a bit about what the AVIXA Foundation is doing in that regard.
So the foundation for a number of years has been partnered with organizations such as NBETU and the Loop Lab. And we see this as an opportunity to affect the world around us. We can't necessarily change the entire world, but we can certainly change our world and the view that we have. And working with partners like NBETU and the Loop Lab gives us an opportunity to focus on the AV industry. This year alone, there have been donations, and we have also, we'll be finishing the third quarter with a employee match program as well. And this is our opportunity to give a hand up and not necessarily a handout. This is about encouraging diversity in our industry, which is the world that we can affect.
One thing I think it's important to underscore is the fact that even though it's very topical right now to be talking about inclusion and diversity, it's not as though AVIXA is late to the party on this topic. This is something that you have been thinking about organizationally for quite a while. And I think the Diversity Council speaks to that. The Women's Council speaks to that. Can you talk a bit about those councils, how long they've been in existence, how popular they are, the good work that they do? Because I think it really bespeaks AVIXA's organizational focus on this for a number of years.
Both the Diversity Council and the Women's Council have been around for a number of years with incredibly strong leadership and mission statements. and they grow on a day-by-day basis. I just had the opportunity to speak with the Diversity Council in the last week, and it's a proud moment when you can get men and women and people from all over the world coming together to say we want to make change and we have a mission to do so. The Women's Council continues to grow on a moment by moment basis all over the world. We'll be soon to announce a brand new regional council all the way across the world from here in Atlanta, and the growth and the desire for women to come together and support one another, whether that's in strategy for business, strategy for hiring practices and negotiating, book clubs. It is a way for us to come together and truly be the friends and the commitments to one another that we need in this industry.
Absolutely. I think the through line that runs through all of this, and I was kind of alluding to this before, is the community of the AV industry and recognizing we're all in it together. Women are all in it together. Men should be supporting and empowering women. White people should be supporting and empowering people of color. We're all in it together. Every group, I think, needs to unite for the strongest possible commercial AV industry. So organizationally, from Sound and Communications, I give plaudits to AVIXA and to your team for doing so.
Thank you. We're really proud of the initiatives. We are truly committed to bringing representation and diversity to what we do. And you can see it across the industry, from the journalists like you and others who talk about it on a regular basis, to the profiles that we're starting to see, and to the benefit that we will have from hearing from so many more integral people to the industry who are committed to educating and bettering everything that we do on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Joey, for taking time to speak with me this morning. I'm looking forward to seeing you and the team hopefully in person in June at InfoComm. And I look forward to seeing a very diverse slate of speakers and panelists, and it being a really inclusive and enjoyable atmosphere. So thank you again for taking the time. This has been Dan Ferrisi, editor with Sound and Communications Magazine, joined by Joé Lloyd, Senior Director of Communications with AVIXA. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Dan.